Robert Plank Show, episode 262, Self-Publishing Without Writing, the Lightning Speed Book Creation Method. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's training. What I want to talk about with you today is how to become a published author. Even if you used to think it was too hard, used to think it was expensive, used to think it took too long, all that is false with sort of the new business model that Amazon has completely taken over, where they want you to publish a bunch of books. They want you to have all these books on there and make a bunch of sales, because then their little tiny percentage adds up to quite a bit. And so as we're kind of getting started today, I have three kind of quotes I want to share with you. One is from an author called Pearl Buck, and that's: "The secret joy in work is contained in one word: excellence. To know how to do something well is to enjoy it." So the secret joy in work is contained in one word: excellence. To know how to do something well is to enjoy it. You're good at something, you don't get frustrated, you don't get roadblocks, it's fine. Or even if you do have those frustrations and roadblocks, they're little bitty tiny roadblocks and you actually enjoy overcoming them, and you get things done that you start, you get the fulfillment. It's good as new, right? Robert Hunt says you get good and fast at what you do a lot of, and Winston Churchill has a famous saying that if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter. So haven't you ever sat through a movie and it was just too dang long? The other day I watched The Postman with Kevin Costner from like 1997, and it was like 3 hours long, and it was okay, but like they could have compacted it into 90 minutes and it would have been a better movie. And so don't fall under that trap of thinking that you have to have a 600 page or an 800 page book. I mean, what's the point of that, right? What's the point of having 50 hours of stuff if 50 minutes kind of has all the same information, right? What's the point of having a 300 page book if a 30 page book will fit all the stuff that's still important there? And so anyway, I'm Robert Plank from makeaproduct.com, and I want you to self-publish a book today. And one thing that I kind of want to tell you about today is, for a productivity tip, set your desktop background as a kind of photo of nature. I don't know about you, but if I look at my desktop background, if it's a plain black color, or if it's a gray or a white color, then that's kind of boring. I'm not really as enthusiastic. I don't have that good anchoring or that association of sitting down at the computer equals fun time, right? And maybe you fall into this. Maybe when you have sat at the computer, if you sit at the computer and you're not making as much money as you want, or if you can't quite get that website to work the way that you want, it's frustrating, right? And then over time, it's sort of like maybe if every time you went to school you got punched right in the face, right? Then you'd associate going to school as being a bad thing. Well, a lot of people out there associate sitting at the computer with a really bad thing, and we want to fix that for you. And actually, let me sort of adjust my head there in the live stream. Okay, so you need to associate sitting at the computer with fun stuff, not bad stuff. Seems simple. And so a really quick way to do that is to have your desktop backgrounds be some sort of a nature picture, right? And you can either just go on to Google Images or Flickr or something and get a cool picture of nature. And I think that built in Windows, there's all kinds of like special packs you can download. And then in Windows itself, I can set the background to change once per hour, or maybe even every 10 minutes, just to give me some new kind of thing in nature. And so there have been studies shown and things like that where having the color blue helps for productivity, but having nature helps to kind of keep you energized, keep you going. Just one of those weird studies. So that's a quick fix, an easy way to be productive. But speaking of being productive, I'm guessing that if you're any kind of internet marketer, entrepreneur, at the very least, the thought of having a book with your name on it that you can either sell, or you can mail out to other people that you want to notice you, or hand out to people you want to buy from you, whatever it is, having a book has probably, I'm guessing, has crossed your mind. But then what do people tell you? People tell you things like, well, just write a page or 2 pages a day, and then after, 300 days, you'll have a first draft, and now you're about 10% of the way there, and now you can do the long, hard slog of going back through all those 300 pages and doing some edits and making it fit just right and spell checking and adding graphics. And then so I'm thinking, so is a book take 900 days then? Does it take 3 or 4 years? Well, for some people it does. They spend 3 or 4 or 5 years on this only to make a few dollars. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me, right? What sounds like more fun is to have an idea today and then take it through this process where I kind of get it refined and get those raw materials turned into something cool and interesting. And then I end up with a book that I can hold in my hands. And then that way it's done. And then that way I can kind of, then I can move on from there, right? And then I can do whatever it is that I thought I was going to do with my book, such as, just having a book makes you look more like I know what I'm doing, right? It sets me apart from my competitors, all that kind of stuff. And we all need to get out more. And a lot of people really resist this idea of leaving their comfort zone. It's such a stereotype, but even just leaving the websites you normally hang out at is leaving your comfort zone, right? Leaving the normal Facebook groups, the normal message boards and stuff like that. And a lot of people they can't get out at all. And then they wonder why everything they make seems to be kind of like a copycat product, right? And so, maybe if me and my business partner, Lance Tomashiro, we have this webinar training called Webinar Crusher, and there have been at least 6 or 7 people who've kind of taken that and sort of seen what we did and disagreed with that and agreed with that and kind of just made this huge mess of something that previously was simple, previously worked, and just kind of put in their own kind of advice and their own kind of stuff in that, and it just ended up not being as good. And a lot of people, they can't help but copying what's right in front of them, not because they're unimaginative or they're bad people, just because they don't get out more. They don't get out enough. So a really easy default way of getting out more that anyone can follow is to have a book published on Amazon. Why? Because all kinds of people that you normally don't have access to are hanging out over there on Amazon. It's the same reason why maybe you're playing around on Facebook, playing around with Pinterest stuff, with Instagram ads, with Facebook Live, whatever. It's to get out more and to reach those people that you normally wouldn't reach, right? And so if someone does a search on Amazon, does a search on iTunes for the name for your niche, right? If someone searches for webinars on Amazon, they'll find one of my books on webinars. If someone's searching for Amazon, Amazon FBA, membership sites, podcasting, they'll find the individual books that I have on those subjects, right? And so get out more, because if you get stuck in just 1 or 2 websites to hang out with and you see the same people over and over again, you're going to end up, without even realizing it, showing off to your peers, right? And sort of trying to one-up everyone. And what's the point of that, right? What's the point of hanging around? Let's say you're in a world of, say, 1,000 people, right? Message board, Facebook group. There are 1,000 people in this group kind of talking to you and stuff like that. And then maybe out of that 1,000, maybe 100 will buy from you, maybe 10 will buy from you at the very most. That's kind of where you maxed out. And so wouldn't it make more sense to hang out in a place where there's millions and millions of people so that you can max out at the thousands and thousands or more, as opposed to just kind of struggling for pennies and being just in one of those kind of communities? And maybe you've seen some of these where they all kind of are trying to sell to each other and they're all kind of broke and they're all kind of trying to pretend they're not broke. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun at all, right? And so instead of showing off to your peers, solve real problems that people have and sort of think about the paths that people are going to take in order to find you, right? If someone needs to know how to make a podcast, they're going to search Google, they're going to search Amazon, maybe they'll find one of my books, and then that way they'll join my list, go to my blog, listen to my podcast show, and maybe even buy my podcasting course. So think about those paths that people take to get to you, because the danger in copying what's right in front of you is you only end up copying like that top layer. So for example, we have our course called makeaproduct.com, and in that course we show you how to take an idea for your book and turn it into an outline, speak it out, get it transcribed, edit it, grab a cover for $5, upload it on Amazon, and then market it and get some reviews. And someone else might take that course and watch it and only pick up a couple of things from it and then think that that's the whole system, because that's sort of the frame of mind that they went into it, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is if someone joins our course, makeaproduct.com, and they've never published a book before, they might not absorb all the stuff, right? They might only focus on just the outlining part of things. Whereas if someone else joins our Make a Product course who's published 20 books, maybe they're just going to get a couple of ways to speed up the process, right? Or market the book better. So whatever frame of mind you're in, you're really only going to pick up a tiny fraction of all this information that's given to you. Like just think about, classes classes you took in high school or college or whatever, you only, like years later, you only remember in your brain a couple of little parts of that. And so there's a real danger in only copying that top layer. And what that ends up doing, if you see some other competitor and you buy their stuff and you buy it with the intention of copying and you copy them, well, guess what? You are going to make something that's worse than what you copied. So don't do it, right? You're going to take something where someone else took something that was really simple and then you went in and made it complicated. And you know what? Your future buyers and your competitors and all them, they, without realizing, are making all of these simple things complicated. So if you're the one that makes things simple and keeps things simple, then you can be the one that people actually remember. You can have those shorter books and stuff like that, and it's less work for you. So don't just blindly copy someone else, because you're going to end up with sort of a me too that's hard to follow. So what do you do instead? Well, you do all these things we talked about. You think about where people are coming from and be a content machine, right? Why do you want to be a content machine? Because it's so crowded out there. You need some way to get noticed. But a lot of people, they hear this word content, and what do they think of? They think of article marketing, right? Publishing a bunch of stuff to article sites. They think of making blog posts that are like 30 pages long. Maybe that should have been in a book. But content can be just like what we're doing here, right? We can record a video, record a podcast episode, whatever. That still counts as content, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be articles and blog posts, but you need to pump out something on some sort of consistent basis. Otherwise, no one's even going to know who you are, or they'll forget you. I mean, if you think that you have some sort of name recognition, even if you're somewhat famous, I don't know. You might now, but in a year or two, you might not. So just keep pumping out that stuff. That way people can notice, who you are and what you're all about. And 80% of life is just showing up. Maybe you've heard, what is that, like a Woody Allen quote or something? 80% of life is just showing up. And so you should have, at the very least, a short book that has your best blog posts. And if you don't have any blog posts, then maybe just think about how you can talk about maybe like who you are and why you got started. If you can think about maybe 3 things someone can do right now that ties into your expertise. Maybe think of 3 things that people aren't doing, or just kind of things that agitate you or annoy you in your industry, things where people are doing things wrong, and then the correct way to do it. I mean, it's not super helpful to just spew out tips and stuff like that. And it's also not super helpful to just kind of be a critic and say, well, this person does it wrong, that person does it wrong. Instead, combine the two. Have the problem so that everyone knows what you're talking about, and then the solution so that you're not just being a Debbie Downer, and dish out some helpful advice that anyone can pick up. And so going back to the whole idea of not copying that top layer, not showing off for your peers, just solve a problem, just have something helpful. That's all you need to think about in terms of what your future book should be about. Just tell somebody, if you want to have a book about, I don't know, how to be a handyman around the house, break it down into where do people have the most problem. Is it with like plumbing stuff? Is it with, weather stripping your doors? Is it with, I don't know, like drilling and hanging and mounting stuff? Whatever that is for you, sort of rearrange it into a step-by-step process just to make it helpful. Make it the guide that you wish you would have had 10 years ago, or make it the guide where, if the guy down the street, next door neighbor, son, daughter, brother-in-law, whatever, if somebody came to you and said, well, I see that that you do a lot of affiliate marketing, how do I go about doing that? Well, that's what your book should be, right? The guide that you would hand off to someone in order to replace you. And be the person that stuck around after everyone else gave up, after it was too hard. I mean, how many people do you see? How many marketers do you see? Well, they'll make a website, they'll seem to have a huge launch 1 month, and then a few months later, totally gone. A few years later, websites are gone. It's as if they never existed. Don't be another statistic. Be the person that kind of hangs around and keeps on marketing every day, because even if you only market 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, even if you only have like a couple of Kindle books and you make them free and tweet about them and email about them, think about how much that will add up to over a year, over 2 years, after however long you're going to be doing this stuff. And so giving up and procrastinating are not real things. Those sorts of things just means that your priorities are out of whack. And so if you commit to saying, for the next 3 days, and not 3 days straight, right? Not 3 days without sleep, but today is going to be the start of, I'm going to have a book, and that means that today I'm going to have the outline done. I'm going to speak out part of it. Maybe tomorrow I'll finish speaking it out. and then I'll get it back from the transcriptionist, and then I'll edit it and I'll publish it as is, and I can worry about spell checking later. I can worry about adding the cover later, because at least that got something in place. That means that you finally made publishing a book a priority amongst all the other crap that, well, to be honest, a lot of it is not that important, right? We see a lot of people who are just, going back and checking their sales letters to make sure that it looks okay, and there are better uses of your time, especially if that use of your time reaches more people. So I've been sort of scaling up my podcast. I've been putting out more episodes, doing more interviews, and the reason for that is because I know that I need to get out more. I need to talk to more people, because if I'm just stuck in my box, if I'm just stuck in my office and stuff like that, then the business is slowly going to dwindle away. I need to get out there more and have more reach. If I'm an internet marketer, and I think you are too, doesn't that mean you should market on the internet? You're not just a internet blog post writer, you're a person who markets. So you need to get that book finished. That way you can begin marketing it. At least that makes sense to me. And so Amazon books will be around forever. I have some friends in internet marketing who have died in the past years. And guess what? I can go on Amazon and I can see that their books are still out there, even though, their websites are gone, their blogs are gone, all that stuff is gone. What's still there? Amazon books. And so that's sort of my thinking, is that, I don't know how much time I have left to be alive, hopefully decades and decades, hopefully the same for you, but you put those books on Amazon and they will be there forever. Now, not set in stone, because you can always go back. If you get afraid, you can unpublish your books, delete your books, edit your books, upload a new spell check copy, all that stuff. But if you had a book that's out there, and someone, let's say that someone is researching you, and what's really funny is that all the people who kind of when I was in my early 20s, the people who kind of laughed, made fun of me and stuff like that, the ones that said that I wouldn't make it, it's funny how they went in and kind of did their research on me, right? They looked up my websites, they looked up all of my stuff, and even today there are some people who, even though I am successful, I could always be better, but there are some people who kind of, I can just tell, don't like me, right? For one reason or another, maybe jealousy, maybe something else, who knows? But it's funny how people will kind of search me, and I think that those weirdos in your life, right? Those haters, you could call them. I'm sure that they search you up too. And how funny would it be if they said, "Oh, this person, they, I see them doing voiceovers, or I see them, making goofy videos about drones. What could they possibly be doing?" And then if they see that you have a book, it's kind of hard to counteract that, right? Or if they say, "Oh, well, this person such and such, they're just goofing around on the computer." But what if you were able to hold in your hand a book and kind of, shut them up about that? I don't have a book within reach, otherwise I'd hold it up. Dang it. But if you could kind of quiet their negativity by saying, "Well, look, here's some legit physical stuff I have. I have this actual book that I can hold in my hand, and what do you have? You don't have a book, so why are you criticizing me?" And so, the haters and the negative people in your life, they should go. But if you can use them for a little bit of fuel, a little bit of motivation up until that point where it's kind of bad, then use that, right? Use that sort of use their negativity on you to be better than them and make it so that they're irrelevant, so that they don't matter. You have a book, they don't. End of story, right? And that can show anyone who doubts you, and maybe even your spouse, or maybe your parents, or someone that if they doubt your business, or they doubt that what you're making has a future, if you held up their book, you handed them their book. How about this? What's really funny in Amazon, Kindle and CreateSpace, right? Kindle is the digital version, CreateSpace is the physical, a book you can hold in your hand. You can log into your own CreateSpace account, and you can buy and ship books at cost. And I think, depending on the size of the book, it might be $5 or $7, but you can log into your CreateSpace account and say, "I want to buy one of my own books," and you can specify the mailing address. And we do this all the time. If we have a customer we like a lot, maybe we'll send them a book for free, or sometimes I'll email my list and saying, "Just reply to me, I'll shoot you a book," and stuff like that. So, what if you had a book online, right? You had a book listed on Amazon, and you got that hater, the brother-in-law, whatever's mailing address, and you logged in and you said, "You know what? I'm going to put in the mail a copy of my book. And I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to just, they're going to check their mailbox one day and they're going to see a book that I wrote. Or even better, what if you sent them 10 copies of your book? And so I don't know what the exact cost that would be. My guess is maybe like 20, $25 because there's like 10 books, but they'll put it in one box and mail it. So how funny would that be if that brother-in-law, that, I mean, maybe not boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, but if there's that person out there who kind of said that you couldn't hack it, and they got a package delivered to their front porch one day with 10 books in that box. How freaking funny would that be? Like, how much would that show them? Again, not to the point where you're trying to like prove yourself or whatever, but wouldn't that kind of make you feel a little better? And wouldn't that make them kind of believe in you more if a box arrived with 10 copies of their book? Or even maybe to be more positive, if you were trying to wow or impress a local business, maybe to get some work for them from like, SEO or something, or even you said, even if you like contact, like doctors or teachers or someone, you said, I can make a book with your name on it. Here's my book. Wouldn't that sort of turn them around? And wouldn't that be way more impressive than all these other competitors who are just kind of cold calling them? And so, this book thing, it's a credibility tool. And maybe you've heard about this where people say, well, you can be an authority by having a book. And you know what? All kinds of celebrities and politicians, like everyone who's run for president or run for office lately, they put out a book, even though it's not super great, but at least it has their ideas and stuff like that in there. And, a lot of people have books that no one really reads, but just the fact that their stuff is in a book, and just the fact that they have a book and people buy the book is enough for you to look sort of like a thought leader and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't know, and maybe this can be our little secret, the average person doesn't know that putting out a book is free. And you don't have to tell them, right? You don't have to tell them that putting out the book there is free and Amazon just takes a cut. I mean, maybe they thought that you spent $5,000 or $10,000 to get this set up. No, Amazon just takes a percentage. And with Amazon, you can publish unlimited books. You can publish a new book every hour if you want, if you have that much content. You could publish every single book under a different pen name if you wanted to. Amazon allows you to do that. So why wouldn't you do it? And a lot of people are sort of afraid of, if the book has a typo, maybe I'll look stupid and stuff like that. And my response to that is that it's easier to edit crap than air. And so, all the time I worry about typos, right? In my blog posts, in my emails, in my sales letters, in my books especially. And if I let that hold me back, I wouldn't get nearly as much stuff done. And not to say that, I do care about typos, and I'll go back later and I'll run spell check, but get that first draft completed so that you have anything to edit. And don't fall in that trap that I used to, where like I would have an idea for a book and I'd make that first chapter and then I'd make maybe part of the second chapter and it's like, oh, I got to go back and edit it. You'll never finish, right? Because you'll write some stuff, go back and edit it, write some stuff. Let's think more in terms of stages, right? So you can have your stage where you say, okay, well, I'm trying to narrow down just out of 5 ideas for books, what's the one idea to narrow down? And then now I've got that. Great. Now I have all these ideas. Let me kind of put it in the structure of an outline. Now that's a stage I've gone through. Now I'm going to speak out my book. Once that's spoken out, that comes back within 24 hours. Now I'm in the maybe light, quick editing stage. And the next stage could be, now I'm uploading it to Amazon. I'm filling out their special form and getting that done. And then maybe I'm in the marketing part. Maybe now I'm in the revising part, but it helps to just kind of work in these airtight containers. That way you're not just kind of switching gears and it becomes a mess. And you know what, too? The other thing, too, is a lot of people, for whatever reason, think that they can just kind of stick it out, right? And they don't want to be better. They want to just have things be a confusing mess of chaos. They want everything to work at the last possible second. And that's a recipe for burning yourself out and, again, associating all this computer, all this internet marketing, entrepreneur, business building stuff with being confused, being in panic mode. You don't want to be in panic mode. Just do little things every day to get you on the right track. And so, your message and what you actually have to say is not as important as 1 or 2 typos in your books. I mean, all books have typos. If you ever remember back in school when you had textbooks, there would be like whole pages, whole sections of corrections they'd made on the books. And you have books that are like 7th edition of algebra, right? 8th edition textbook of algebra, even though algebra hasn't changed in, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of years, but still errors happen with everyone. So why let yourself get hold back because of a couple of typos? So don't quit. Take action now. The time will never be just right, and a year ago, you'll wish you had started today. So how do you write a book with lightning speed? Well, first of all, our course is at makeaproduct.com, and what I think is really helpful and what I think has helped me and can and should help you is, first of all, to speak out the book yourself. Don't try to write it, because it'll take so dang long and you'll give up before you finish. You'll go back and you'll edit stuff, and a lot of people self-edit, right? And that means that I'm talking to you, I'm just kind of saying whatever sentence comes to mind. But when you type out a sentence, it's like you have too long to think about it, and you type out half a sentence, you say, that sounds stupid. You go and try the sentence again, you say, you know what, that sounds too simple. You type it out again, now it's like too academic. So what's better is to just speak things out, because guess what? You're fluent in, I'm assuming, English if you're listening to me right now. And so when you say sentences in English, people can understand what you're saying in English, right? And so why mess with that? Why remove your voice? Why have a ghostwriter write something that doesn't sound like you, that isn't even what you're saying? Make something that sounds the way that you actually would have said it. And that way you don't take forever on it. It's in your voice. It's the way you would have said it. And you're done within the 3-day window of excitement. I honestly believe that if you have an idea for something, you should have it finished in some sort of form. Maybe not the final version, but some sort of milestone that people can actually see, that's published, that's live within 3 days. The reason for that is, haven't you ever had a project that kind of followed you around for 20 days, for 6 months, for a year? That's no fun. Don't be that gal or guy. Don't be that person that's been kind of hammering out a book or trying to make a book work for 5-6 years. That's no fun. Do it within 3 days. So how do you do it that quickly? How do you do it within 3 days? Well, you need a guide from someone who's done it before, and you need a proven system so that you can easily follow in that guide's footsteps. And then once you did it fast and you had so much fun doing it, that anytime in the future you want to make another book, you can just repeat that over and over again. And have a real deadline, because if we keep our book short, if we keep it simple, if we use a system, then we can sort of have somewhat of a guess of what is the deadline of when I'm going to have that book. And you might miss the deadline, or you might get it done early. But if you say, all right, you know what, in 7 days my book's going to be live because I'll be a little slow about it, that's okay. But have a real deadline and know why you're doing what you're doing, right? What you want is to have a book out there. That way you can get more of that credibility. That way you can link about it on your blog. That way you can tell your list about it. That way you can mail it off to other thought leaders or other people that you want to impress. Maybe not your close competitors, but these people that are outside of your usual circle of friends. What a great first impression if someone just heard about your book, right? And stuff like that. And you can just send out books with just pointing and clicking and mail it at cost. Amazon will print the book for you, put it in whatever appropriately sized box. So again, if you say, I'm going to send one of my books to someone, it'll put it in one of those like yellow kind of folder, like cellophane padded things, I guess you'd call it. And if you have multiple books, they'll put it in a box and they'll mail it to you. And know exactly how much progress you've made in that journey, right? So pretty much a good stopping point, if you had to have a stopping point, is the book is live. Right? I can go on Amazon, I can order the book, and if I choose to do all this fancy marketing stuff, if I choose to run ads to it or mail out free copies, that's a nice to have, not a must have. Must have is have the book published, have it live. Book's not published, there's nothing else you can do from that part on, right? And so know exactly where you are in that process, in whatever stage, right? Like we said, narrowing down the idea for your book, creating the outline, speaking it out, editing, publishing, wherever you are in that stage, because there's no such thing as being 80% or 90% done with a book. What does that even mean? If it's like 80% written, 80% edited, like this percentage, this degrees of doneness doesn't make a lot of sense. But if we say, I finished the outline stage, I finished the speaking it out stage, I finished the editing stage. I've got the cover made. It's published. Now you know what stage you're at. And you don't have to play those internal mind games with yourself by saying, I'm 72.3% done. I don't even know what that means. So use our makeaproduct.com system. And so to give you a couple of examples, we have a sort of a thought process called 10-7-4, where basically you can pile in all your best ideas, even the ones that suck, and then kind of pick and choose and narrow down just the best ones, or even combine the ones that maybe couldn't hold their own weight as a chapter on its own. And then once you have those sort of chapters in place, you use our next sort of thing in the process called WWHW. That stands for why, what, how to, what if, to make sure that those ideas, those chapters that you have are just packed with content, packed with value. They could be short chapters. It could be a short book, but you can come out with a 30 or 40 page Kindle book that took you literally an hour to speak out. That in my case, I've sometimes published books. My record is 12 hours from idea to published book, mostly just waiting around for Amazon to approve things. But what if you put out a 30, 35 page, 40 page book that had more good stuff in it than a 120 page or a 240 page book? It's really interesting that just when there are like books out there, and there's always like, the usual business books, like there's like Malcolm Gladwell stuff, there's Gary Vee stuff, there's like Tim Ferriss stuff, there's Dan Kennedy stuff, whatever. But I found it really interesting that a lot of people who say they've read such and such book, or they have a conversation about such and such book, or they make a blog post or a book review, whatever, you can tell they only really read the first 10 or 20 pages anyway. And a lot of the books, or especially a lot of my favorite books, kind of have maybe 3 or so ideas, maybe 3 or 4 ideas in there, and usually like their best ideas in the beginning, and it's kind of like as the book goes on, it's sort of like less and less. And usually when it just seems to me like the gist of people who've read these sorts of books, they've only really understood like that first big idea in the book. So if that's the case, why are we bothering with these big, huge, thick honking books no one's going to read? Just have your best stuff packed in there, and then that way if someone needs to know a certain answer to a problem, how to sell on eBay, how to do affiliate marketing, how to race drones, they just buy your one book on that, and they don't have to read the whole encyclopedia. They just solve the problem that they're having, right? And so having some kind of a step-by-step process really helps you to overcome the usual things that hold you up, right? And so, for example, like the uncertainty. It helps so much, and this kind of dates back to like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It helps so much to see the complete picture of what it is that you're building towards. And if you've never made a book before, you don't really have a complete picture, but you know what you can do? You can look at someone else's case study and you can say, okay, well, I'm building something similar to what they're making. And my book might be a completely different title, different colors, different niche, different everything, but at least I can understand what it is I'm building towards, and at least that way I know if I'm headed in the right direction or not in the right direction, if that makes sense. Using someone else's step-by-step system instead of just kind of having all this chaos and trying to figure out yourself helps with this thing called scope creep. With scope creep, it's a nerdy programming thing, but it just means that I meant to make a 30-page book, and I thought that I could just open up Microsoft Word, type, it'd be done. But next thing I know, I need to have a cover. Okay, now I need to kind of put that aside. Okay, now I had to edit it. Let me put that aside. Now I've got to make a table of contents. Let me put that aside. Let me add the title and description on Amazon's page. All these different things. And before you know it, this thing that you thought was going to take you like a couple days, now is going to take months and months. And so we don't want that scope creep. And the name of the game, I think the most important thing we've talked about today is don't have those negative associations with internet marketing, with being at your computer. What you want to do is, first of all, if you're stuck, if you're blocked, if things aren't working, get up, get off the computer, go outside. It could be a nice day outside, or if it's not, get in the car and drive around. But you want to associate sitting at the computer with getting things done, having fun, making money, and you don't want to sit and associate being at the computer with procrastination, anger, frustration, what's that called? hungry, angry, lonely, tired. You want it to be you don't want to sit at the computer and halt. You want to sit at the computer and have a lot of fun. So instead of having that negative association with, I got to sit at the computer, I'm going to be typing away, it'll never be finished. Instead, sit at the computer and say, man, I had a really good idea. I knocked some stuff out of the park. It was a lot of fun. And what we want you to do is make a book. We want you to make a book that sounds like you, that's short, simple, to the point. You have fun doing it. You do it quickly. And the place to do that is at makeaproduct.com. So anyway, I'm Robert Plank from makeaproduct.com. I hope that helped to kind of clarify some things when it comes to the usual like stereotypes when it comes to making a book. It doesn't take a long time. It's not that hard. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Just follow a simple step-by-step process and get your best knowledge in the form of a book. That way you can get out more, talk to new people, and have a lot more fun. So I'm Robert Plank from makeaproduct.com. Have a wonderful day. Thanks and bye now.